Hello, welcome to another edition of Fourth Down Magazine's Fourth and Goal. We're breaking down everything going on with Mid-Penn Conference teams still left in the state and district tournaments. We're going to have on another special guest here, one of the big names in Mid-Penn and Central PA just in general. And as always, going to try and make each other laugh a little bit. I'm Jake Adams, host here with expert analysis from Andy Shea for week 3 of the district football players in District 3 and a little bit more going on around Pennsylvania as the wacky 6 classifications of PNW. Andy, how's it going?
Good, good. It's actually, you can tell it's like getting late into the playoffs because I was at the game last week and I got back to my car and I was like, okay, I can't feel my feet. That's when you know you're like deep into the playoffs, is when you're going to the football games. And by the time you get back to the car, you can't feel your feet. That's a surefire that we are well into the playoffs, and that we are.
The race to write a game story in your car with no gloves, because writing with gloves on a keyboard is just not an option, and trying to do it fast enough to hit deadline and to not freeze while your car is warming up potentially is there's nothing else quite like it in the world.
You speak of that with such reverence. It's almost funny.
It's dripped in sarcasm. So we've got a couple topics here to talk today about, and I'm just gonna start by saying, Andy, Camp Hill question mark?
So yeah, I mean, they were the better team overall. They kind of deserved to win. At the end of the day, the right team won the game. I'll say this: injuries denied Trinity some of their best players at their best throughout the course of the game.
Mhm.
However, both teams played defense at a really high level.
Yeah.
But I mean, when it came down to money time, the game was 13-13. Was it going to go to overtime? How was that being decided? Who's got the advantage in overtime? Sort of those were the conversations that were going on. And then, Camp Hill quarterback Drew Brandstater said, not on my watch. I mean, he literally took his game and took that team to the next level all in that 82 seconds. I
Mhm.
mean, he wasn't bad. It was hard all game to run their passing game because A, Trinity put good pressure on, and B, they covered outstanding. And it wasn't like it just went away. It's just he just took control of the game. 6 plays, 56 yards, 82 seconds. Every play was a pass play. Every throw was like a sort of a timing or had to be thrown, in rhythm route. They were perfect. The receiver was right where they needed to be. It wasn't Trinity fell apart right at the end of the game.
Hmm.
It was literally the Camp Hill quarterback saying, all right, I got this. And it was incredibly impressive to watch them execute that. It wasn't just like um, a miracle drive, but it certainly was an out of nowhere drive because it was so hard to get yards and points all night long for both teams. So, I mean, he just made game set match. Camp Hill has like 24 dudes and maybe
Mhm.
14 or 15 to play. Defense has been their best asset all year, right? They've had their passing game. They can't run the ball. They literally are not. They hand the ball off a few times, but they're not going to run the ball against anybody with any success. And here's the last thing. So their defense is their best asset. They gave up 1 touchdown in that District 3 2A title game. They played Trinity for 8 quarters and gave up 3 total touchdowns. That's how you win a championship.
And to go back to that last drive too, I mean, game-winning 2-minute drills are so rare at this level. So to see it executed and executed well, and like you said, when there was no ground to gain all game up until that point, is just like it's a heck of a
It was flawless.
wow.
It was 6 different pass plays. Each of them required a different protection. Some he rolled out, some he stood in the pocket. Every ball was exactly where it should have been, and every receiver was exactly where they should have been. And I would argue that on at least 2 of the throws, the coverage was dead solid perfect, and they still completed the ball anyway. So he was that good in that 82 seconds.
Heck of a game
Oh,
to be at.
yeah, it was
Another
fun to watch.
another good game we had last week that you weren't at because you were at that big game, the small school game. CV advances on an impressive quarterfinal victory in 6A and now finds itself one upset victory away from a District 6A championship appearance, which used to be like status quo at Cumberland Valley not too long ago. Harrisburg versus Central York is on the other side of that bracket, which looks like it could be just one of those really classic big school playoff clashes there. We don't really know. I at least don't know who might win that game. It could go either way. We figure Harrisburg would be at this stage all season, but Cumberland Valley again? Question mark.
Right. And Cumberland Valley advanced with what I think is it was a very impressive victory. And if you had Cumberland Valley as a district semifinalist on your bingo card pick before the season, you're lying.
Mm-hmm.
And if I would even say if Josh Oswald, the coach of Cumberland Valley, told me he saw this from this team at the beginning of the year, I'd tell him that he's probably lying. So, it took like this sort of offensive game where their defense had to play well against Wilson, where they ran their sort of spread offense but focused it on their best assets. They ran the ball and threw the ball sort of imbalance, and nobody lit it up. There was no big plays. Everything was, in 3, 4, 5 yard chunks. 7, their leading receiver had 7 catches for, I think it was like 68 yards or 76 yards or something like it was like 9 or 10 yards of reception. So it was definitely a grinded out victory, which is what they had to do. They're going to get another bite of the Manheim Township apple. They opened the season with the Blue Streaks and lost 35-6. Part of that opening 3-game Friday the 13th horror show that they went through. But I remember thinking at the time and I looked back at the box score and saw some of the highlights, and I was like, 35-6 is not that bad against Manheim Township. It wasn't a bad loss. I really didn't see it as a bad loss. Here's what I'll say. One team is more polished now, and that's Manheim Township. But they are exactly the same, and they are exactly what you knew they were and thought they were through the entire.
We are who they thought they were.
Correct. One team is 100% not the same team when they met before in almost every way, shape, or form. So is that enough to make up a 4-touchdown gap? I don't think so. It's not like I'm saying, but I'm saying this will be a different Cumberland Valley team than Manheim Township saw in week 1. However, this was a really, really good Manheim Township team that now has more spit and polish on it. So that is the problem for Cumberland Valley. So that would be, and as far as Harrisburg and Central York go, I mean, these two teams are comfortable and confident going up and down the field and chasing points. I think they both are like, yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. I think Harrisburg's defense is better equipped for this game than Central York's defense. That I know, but that doesn't mean Harrisburg wins either. So this is going to be this could be a crazy game. It could take 50 points to win this game, and it could be 19-16. I'm not joking. It could end up looking like that, but I'm leaning more towards it. You need 50 points maybe to win this game. And when I say Harrisburg's defense is better equipped, they have the capacity to come up with stops more than Central York does. Central York has given up points all season. So their defense is their weakest link, and it's very evident. That's why they outscore people. Can they outscore Harrisburg? I think they could. They could. They absolutely could.
When we were going over show notes and stuff earlier today, like I was thinking about this game, and I kind of had the same thought because the game that kept popping into my mind was that Harrisburg State College game. Yep. When Harrisburg wins a game that neither team, I believe, scored under or more than 20 points.
Yeah, it was 20-0. Harrisburg shut them out.
Yeah, and you can, could that be a similar situation here where it's going to be a low score game, or is it going to be a barn burner going the other way? I couldn't decide in my head. Thankfully, I don't need to make picks this year for fourth down, but I couldn't decide which way this game could go, because there is a huge margin for error in what this game could be, and that makes it really interesting.
Well, and I think Harrisburg has more playmakers, but I think Central York has the biggest home run hitter on the field at the running back in their running back, their FBS running back. So it's just it's a box of chocolate games. You really, you don't really don't know what you're going to get. But I tend to think in big games like this, the best players, and they happen to be at really high profile positions that end up putting points on the board. I think you're going to see some points.
Yeah. I also, kind of stretching this out a little bit, I wanted to use that question as kind of like a launching pad towards like a bigger enterprisey type of question here. I'm looking over these brackets this week. And we've had two Mid-Penn teams already crowned district champs, one of which we weren't surprised by in Steel High. We knew Camp Hill or Trinity was probably going to win the bracket before the postseason started. Now that one of them's crowned, West Perry has a shot this week, albeit a tough one against Wyomissing in 3A. McDevitt's been penciled in as the 4A champ since before the season started, so we know where that's going. And then 5A and 6A have odds in favor, maybe, potentially. I thought so with Mid-Penn teams. Two in each bracket that could potentially win a title here. What can we make of the Mid-Penn Conference this season and how it's performed in District 3? I know we're not quite done yet with the district tournament, but I feel like now's a good place to kind of like ask and look at a holistic view.
Yeah, I think there were more teams made it than I thought at the beginning of the year, but I thought they were well represented. Like, I don't think in 5 and 6A, I don't see the odds favoring the Mid-Penn. I don't think a Mid-Penn team is the favorite in either 5A or 6A. And I'm including, I don't think Harrisburg's a favorite. If they can win their semifinal and they have to play Manheim Township, they're not the favorite. They already got, Broomhouse. They got woodshedded by Manheim Township already. Yeah, okay, I know it's a different game, but you got woodshedded. You're not the favorite. And 5A is open season, but I think you'll understand when you see what Cocalico does at this level. They're pretty good. But yeah, I think the best way to say it is the Mid-Penn Conference has represented itself very, very well. I think that's the accurate way to put it. They're showing that it had a little more muscle than you might have think. I think Cedar Cliff fits right in that mold, right? Like,
oh yeah,
keep forgetting they're a 10-1 team.
Yeah.
You've got West Perry playing for a 3A title against Wyomissing. Just don't let it be 63-7, and that's embarrassing, right? Don't be embarrassing. But I think they're in a better position to compete in that game. I think there's a dark outside shot that they could win because this isn't the same Wyomissing team they faced last year. But overall, I think the best way to say it is they have represented themselves very well. And what are they going to? They could win. They might win 4 of the 6 classifications. I think the max number would be 4 classifications. Make that 1, 2, 4. 3, 5, and 6. Maybe they get one of those other ones, and still 3 out of 6 is not bad. So I think they've done a really good job, especially here in the postseason. They've represented themselves extremely well.
We focused on District 3, but we had 2 other Mid-Penn teams that won district championships last week in District 6, and we're going to be bringing on a guest from one of those teams right now. Our guest this week is junior wide receiver Jasper Sheps. It's not often you see a sophomore put up the video game numbers he has this season: 65 catches, 1,322 yards, a 20.3 yards per catch rate, and 13 touchdowns, according to Max Preps. He's also taken the occasional handoff and only averages about 30 yards a touch. And he's a lethal player on defense with 50 tackles, a sack, a whopping 6 picks as defensive back, and his Juniata Indians are 7-5 and in the PIAA Class 4A sub-regional. That's a mouthful, against Meadville after winning the District 6 title this past weekend. Jasper, welcome to the show, and thank you for joining us. How's it going? How's it feel to be district champs?
It feels great. That feeling was great because last year we didn't get to have the chance to play, and when they decided to play us this year, it was great.
And I bet it feels a little bit better too, because my first question here kind of segues nicely off of that is you guys started this season 0-3, then ripped off 5 straight wins, then kind of limped into the postseason here with 2 straight losses. But all along the way, you guys have put up a lot of points. How would you describe this journey this season? What has it been like?
Starting off 0-3, I think those first 3 games really helped us because they were very good opponents. As you see, Selinsgrove's going far in the playoffs, Troy and Westbury. And then we kind of had a stretch of easier games. And then I think those last 2 games made us realize that like we need to like take this serious. Like we still have games to play.
All right, I'm gonna jump in. I'm gonna jump in, Jasper, and I'm gonna follow up on. I'm gonna give some more detail about the 0-3 start, which it was. It was a little bit alarming. Not that they lost the games, but they gave up 133 points. Now they lost to Troy, who's 12-0 and ranked number 5 in the state in 2A. Selinsgrove is 11-0-1 and ranked number 4 in the state in 4A. And Westbury is 11-1 and ranked number 10 in Class 3A. So those are not tomato cans. They played really good football teams, but they gave up a ton of points and didn't really score as much either. You said it was the best thing that happened to you guys. What did you mean by that? And my sort of question was, why was it? What made it difficult for you during that 3-game stretch for you guys to spin out of? And what was the impact it had on the overall team that you said it was the best thing that happened to us?
Well, I think that playing them like taught us to fight back from adversity and be able to come back when we're down, such as like when we played teams like Lime Mountain or Susquehanna or Upper Dauphin. And I just think that playing those teams, even though it might have shot our confidence after that, like those next stretch, we built confidence back up and were able to play ball again.
You knew that. I'm going to follow up. Sorry, Jake. You knew they were good teams, right? Like you probably didn't know they were going to be like 32-1-1 at this point in the year, but you knew you were playing quality football. But yet it's still, you're athletes. It's still probably, it shook your confidence, didn't, as a team as a whole, didn't it? Like getting cracked back to back to back like that.
Yes, it did.
So what does that look like? Does that, like when you come out of there and you're 0-3 and you still had a softer part of your schedule coming up, but how do you get your football confidence back? What was important for this Juniata team to find their football confidence after sort of getting kicked in the gut to start the season the first month?
I think we just had to realize we still had ball to play and we needed to turn around and start winning games.
Okay, Jake, sorry.
It's okay. I want to ask you a little bit, Jasper. We read off your stats there a little bit ago, and while we were, getting ready for this interview too, I was trying to find mid-pen leaders, and I've learned you're one of at least 5 receivers that have 1,000 yards so far this season. If you were to scout yourself for a moment, you're a sophomore receiver at a small school in northern Pennsylvania or north central Pennsylvania. Put yourself in a college recruiter's shoes. What's your scouting report? What are you bringing to the table? What needs to still improve over the next couple of years?
I think a lot can improve. I'm only a sophomore. A lot can improve, but I think one thing that I bring that most people don't is my jump ball ability.
Okay.
And I don't know, but my route running can always improve. Speed can always improve. Everything.
So usually we hear people say like, I pride myself on my speed or my agility, but you really pride yourself on your jump ball.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Gotcha. Do you by chance know what your vertical is? Have you ever tried to track that?
I do not know what my vertical is exactly.
Gotcha.
Hey, Jasper, you starting to see more? Have you been starting to see, through the postseason the last few weeks of racing? You starting to see more double coverage or some junk coverages leaning your way? Have you been seeing more of that? And
yeah.
What's that been like for you? Because that's an adjustment, right? Teams are starting to focus on you. What have you done to sort of counter that a little bit?
Our coach just draws up plays to try to beat those double coverages. And then also on the other side of the field, my teammate is a great receiver. So when they double me,
Yep.
he's 1-on-1 and he can beat his man whenever he needs to.
All right, let's look at Meadville this week. They're 9-2. Don't give me the complimentary football. We have to be good on both sides of the ball. I'm not buying this one for the question I'm answering. It's a 50-50 game all the way for me. Either one of these teams could win this game. So I'm asking you, which side of the ball for you guys has to be on point in order for you guys to be successful? In other words, which side of the ball has to be wire tight for you guys in order for Juniata to win this game? What do you think is, because you always have your strength and weakness. You're like, we have to do this well if we're going to beat Meadville.
I think our defense has to be lights out when we play them because they score so many points, and
They do.
if we can't stop them, it might be a problem.
They do score a ton of points, but they don't score a ton of points against teams when the playing field is a little more level. I'm just going to say that, but yeah, they do have an explosive offense. Then again, you guys have put some points up in the work. Have you seen in the playoffs that the competition that you faced earlier in the year where you were like, what the heck is going on? We're getting gobsmacked week after week here. Are you seeing that that's sort of benefiting you guys now a little bit?
Yes, that definitely has benefited us playing good teams and now back again playing good teams. It just, I don't know.
It was like familiar to you more than anything.
Yep.
Yep.
Another
All right.
big part of,
Go ahead, Jay.
I was gonna say another big part of this too is I believe this is the third straight season you guys are facing Meadville at this stage of the postseason.
Correct.
Yeah, I know the postseason was a little different COVID year in 2020. You had 4 catches and 106 yards. It was your first 100-yard game on varsity in that game last year. So as you've been going through film study this week and practices this week, what do you guys feel like you have to do differently in this game to finally beat Meadville?
I think everyone has to execute and do their part. And I think if we do that, this is definitely a winnable game for us.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. All right, Jasper, we're going to put you on the hot seat. How's that sound? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Beach house or lake house? Which one?
Definitely beach house.
Cool. Give me one person, and that person can be dead or alive. Give me one person that you would love to have lunch with. Who is it?
Oh my. LeBron James.
Nice.
LeBron James.
Good answer. Give me another team in the Liberty division or one of the teams on your schedule this year. Give me somebody else you played this year whose uniforms you really like.
Oof. I like that. I like Selinsgrove's colors. I do like Selinsgrove's colors.
Really?
The Seals. Look at Jake's like, really? You can't say that, Jake. All right, last one. Jasper. Sheets. Everyone has loved this question all year you can share as much detail and information as you like. What is your go-to Sheets order?
Oh my. It definitely varies on the day, but I do love getting pizzas from there. I think Sheets has the greatest pizza.
That is the upset of this season on this podcast.
Sheets pizza.
That is the first time we've gotten that answer.
The Sheets pizza. Yep. So, all right, that's it.
Hey, thanks, Jasper, for your time. Good luck this week and moving forward here too, and with the rest of your career. You got a couple more years left to go, man. We're gonna be catching you for a little while here. So thanks for joining us and good luck.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck. Stay healthy.
Thank you.
Thanks to Jasper Sheps for joining us once again. Andy, let's talk about that Juniata team here for a second. They got Meadville on Friday night, as we've discussed already.
Again,
lost 2 in the past 2 postseasons in this same round, I believe.
Yep,
Any
exact same round
on this matchup for Shep Squad and going into this game?
Yeah, I think obviously Juniata's played a better schedule. They played better competition, right? At the high end and even across the middle. The records are 7-5 and 9-2. I think it's a 50-50 game to a degree. Meadville's offense against quality competition does just enough most times to get it done. I think Meadville's essentially a defensive team more than anything else. Yeah, they've scored some points, but it was sort of against cans of corn teams that were like 0-10 and 1-9 and 2-8 and stuff like that. So I think Juniata's offense is going to get a little bit more of a full metal jacket test, but I mean, it feels like, Miracle again, Meadville, again, from the movie.
Yeah.
Again, play Meadville in the 4A sub-regional. So, I think they pass. There, I'm tipping my hat. I think they've played better competition and competed in games. Meadville doesn't have a bad loss. I think to a degree, Juniata does, and I think that helps them. Susquehanna is a bad loss. Let's just call it what it is. So I think that helps them, and I think they know what it's like to be against super high level competition. Meadville does too, but I think Juniata is used to it. I'm taking the Indians.
Gotcha. I want to jump a little bit more north and a lot more west. State College versus McDowell this week in another sub-regional. This little Lions team has looked good at times this season, and then they've put up some clunkers at other times. We talked a little bit ago about that Harrisburg State College game that was kind of a shocker earlier this season. Tough to tell which version of this team will show up week to week. What do you see State College doing this week and maybe beyond if they can get past McDowell?
I think they're set up to lose now. They're you got a month of it. They are sputtering and puttering along now. I don't think you can keep it up this far in. I mean, 16-6 last week. Could they win this game? Right, 100%. They could. But over its last 4 games, the Little Lions are 2-2. They beat Chambersburg 21-14, and they beat Altoona 16-6. Right. In those 4 games, they scored 47 points, Jake. 47 points. So
they usually score 47 against Altoona in the district championship in other years.
Right. It doesn't seem like a winning formula. Their offense has literally come to a screeching halt. So I don't know all the ins and outs of what it is, but they do not have a winning formula cooking going on right now. So if it's either they find something against McDowell or their defense wins a football game for them. That's the way I see it.
Circling back towards District 3, Hershey and Cedar Cliff are in the 5A semis. Don't think I would have said that in the preseason. Just how we drew it up, though. Kind of gave away my joke there. Are we destined for a Keystone title game? You kind of talked about this in the early portion of the show in the A block. How impressed should we be by both teams being here?
So, yeah, I didn't think of it that way. A Keystone Division 5A District 3 Conference Championship game. Yeah, I think you got a 1 in 10 chance of that happening, but I think it's a much greater chance, like a 60-40 maybe, 70-30 chance of it being an all LL District 5A championship. So that just tells you where I'm at. But here, Hershey's a story because they're the lower seed, right? They came back and won that crazy game against Exeter Township.
Yeah.
And then they validated last week against the number 1 seed, which I was super impressed by, because don't forget, New Oxford had the previous week off. So they were on a bye week and come back. They're the number 1 seed, but we knew they were all like they were like a shadow number 1 seed. They weren't really the best team in 5A, but they were the number 1 seed. But Hershey came back and validated by beating them playing exactly the way they want to play football.
Yeah.
They did exactly what they want to do. Right. They did exactly the way they wanted to do it. So to me, actually, Cedar Cliff to me is the more impressive team.
Okay.
And because they've had to, the way they've done it consistently all year and the way they've built and gotten better and better and better, they are the most improved team in the entire conference. Start to finish, there's no more improved team, both sides of the ball, top to bottom, start to finish, than Cedar Cliff. Someone could argue and give me another one, and I'll counter and take that debate every day and twice on Sunday. But they have to play Cocalico, and they're not the favorites in that game. They're not the favorite against Cocalico. Such is the draw of the back bracket. If Cedar Cliff is playing either of the teams in the other semifinals, if they were playing either Ephrata or Hershey, they would be the favorites in both games. So that's the way it goes sometimes. So I think they have a really, really tough game on their hands, but they have been top to bottom the most impressive team. The best story is Hershey, and Hershey can win this game.
Yeah.
There is no doubt about it. Could Hershey win this game? It's not like, they need 3 things. They need 4. Well, this has to happen. No, they could freaking win this football game. There is no doubt about that.
Andy is animated about these Hershey Trojans. I saved the best for last, though.
Yeah.
I saved the best for last, though. We got West Perry at Wyomissing. Spartans are the favorite, but the Mustangs have been the darling of our eyes, like just the collective area of eyes for the last 2 seasons, or at least my eyes. That's just been fun to watch. You've done. What must they do to spring this upset and win their first ever District 3 title?
So I think they have to be a little more humble, right? They're a pretty cocky football team. They're a little bit too cocky at times. Like, I didn't like the attitude they brought in that Steel High game. Now, look, I saw the hit too on the first play of the game against Steel High. It was dirty. The refs didn't see it, but it was dirty and it set a tone and tenor. But I don't think West Perry, they need to be a little more humble, right? I like the edge, but I didn't like the way it impacted how they played that football game. Because they actually stepped on the field thinking, we're the better team. You're not. If you beat Steel High, it's because you played better. But are you the better team top to bottom? No. Are they the better team than Wyomissing top to bottom? No, not even close. So they have to understand that they're not the favorite, and they have to make it to halftime and this game still be relevant, right? For the final 24 minutes. Trinity took Wyomissing to the edge at full strength. Trinity was at full strength. And West Perry beat Trinity. So can they take this game further? Because this isn't the same Wyomissing team that beat them 63-7 last year.
Yeah.
And literally the game was over after the first quarter. I think it was 28-0 after a quarter. It was so over after 12 minutes. It was done. Game, set, match. So the gap will be closed because Wyomissing is not the same team. But I think West Perry has to sort of earn its stripes in this game and make it long. Look, when you play Wyomissing, 48 minutes, each one of those quarters is like dog years. You're just like, what the heck? Why are they running the wing tee and running the ball 9 out of every 10 plays? And then you look up and the clock seems like it's stuck. That's just the way it is against Wyomissing. So the key for West Perry, football-wise, they're going to have to hit 2 or 3 big plays. 47-yard touchdown, 77-yard catch and run, stuff like that. They hit 2 or 3 of those big plays, they'll be in it because you have to give Wyomissing 28 points. You have to give them 1 touchdown a quarter for that wing tee offense. It's not as powerful, but it is still really good.
We're powerful and we're also really good, but that's it for us this week. For Andy Shea, Fourth Down Magazine team, I'm Jake Adams. Be sure to head over to Fourth Down Magazine this week for all your coverage for week 3 of the postseason's games. We'll have predictions. We'll have the winners of the player of the weeks from this past week, and we'll have a whole lot more coming the rest of the weekend. See you next week.
See ya.